It's time to go back.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome.
Everyone, welcome back to another guest list episode of the Generation S podcast. It's a podcast about growing up in the 90s and early 2000s. It's a podcast about all kinds of things, and this week we are following up on last week's fantastic episode. And I say it's fantastic not just from a personal opinion, but from the feedback we've gotten here. I'm joined once again, by the way, by Dan Vorbeck. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Side note, you sound terrific. Did you get a new microphone?
I did get a new microphone. If you're going to have me on this show, I needed to sound like I wasn't trapped in a basement.
Well, it's funny too, because I'm going to go ahead and let people in on this. So last time we recorded, and it was actually a couple months ago. So fun. This is actually going to be airing only a few days after we record this, which is awesome. But just from a time saving standpoint, we recorded the first episode of our conversation from last week several months ago, back at the end of August, and you were recording with a blanket over your head because you had a different microphone that picked up a lot of the ambient noise, and so it was really echoey, and so you had to put the the blanket over your head, and I could tell in your face you were hot as hell. Like, it was not a pleasant experience.
It's warm. I'm in the second floor of my house, and with a blanket over your head, it gets warm. And a couple of months ago, it was August.
Yeah, so it was brutal.
And I couldn't have the air conditioner on because the noise in the background
pick up the sound. Yeah,
so it was rough.
But no, man, now you say you got a new microphone. It's a dynamic microphone, which is actually it's the same mic I use. We talked about this already.
Everybody can enjoy my majestic voice.
It's amazing. It really is. So, but anyway, welcome back to the show. Super excited. We've gotten as I mentioned, some great feedback on Goosebumps. It's probably one of our highest reviewed episodes so far, because I think it is something that, it really impacted a lot of kids that were our age, right? It was such a phenomenon. And there were other, like I said, we've talked about other things on the show, like video games and Ninja Turtles and, Power Rangers, all this stuff. But Goosebumps, I feel like, is like the first episode we've had where boys and girls enjoyed it equally, right? I think that's the big thing.
And different social groups, too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just nerds who read Goosebumps. It wasn't just jocks who read Goosebumps. It was everyone. Yeah. Everyone, at one point, whether you liked it or not, you probably read a Goosebumps book.
Yeah. So, just a fantastic series. So, and you actually, I know we talked about this last time when you were planning to go to the New York City Comic-Con, which just happened. You were going to, I think R.L. Stine was going to be there. Did you have a chance to meet him?
I didn't. The timing didn't work out. There was a couple of people I wanted to meet instead, and he was there for 2 hours at a booth. And if you weren't there first thing in the morning, you sold out of the premium tickets and stuff like that. It didn't work out.
Hey man, it's all good. But just super cool that he was there, obviously. Still doing his thing.
Yeah. He's signing books. I hear he's a nice person. I didn't hear anybody complain about him, but with the people I met and the timing, it just didn't work out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, as I said, we talked all about Goosebumps last time. We talked about the books, the TV show, a little bit about the movies, which I still haven't seen, but it's on my list. The toys, the games that there were, all that fun stuff. So this week, though, this is, of course, a guest list episode. And if you recall from previous guest list episodes, it means simply that the guest of the show that does it along with me has to curate some sort of top 10 list related to the subject matter. So obviously, we're talking about Goosebumps. I'm assuming your top 10 list, Dan, is going to be about that, but why don't you go ahead and tell listeners what specifically you've decided to put together a list of?
So I thought about a couple of top 10 lists, top 10 best books, top 10 my favorites, top 10 covers, whatever. But I thought the best would be a top 10 twists book, meaning top 10 twist endings, or there's a major twist in the book that really surprised me when I read. And when I read it, I was like, oh, what? What just happened?
Yeah.
What's now? So I thought that would be a lot more of an interesting of a top 10 list. Because I think there are a lot of those books where you would read and go, wait, what just happened?
Well, that's the thing. I think that was always a very enjoyable part of the books, is you were kind of waiting for that twist. And more often than not, it was something you weren't expecting, or, I mean, very rarely was it a straightforward, this is what happened, the end. There was always kind of something. So no, I think that's a terrific list. I think the top 10 twists, it's something new, it's something different, and I think it'll maybe reinvigorate people on the books in general, and maybe they'll go back and check them out. Granted, I feel kind of weird being 34 years old and going back and reading children's, horror stories, but
Why?
I don't know. I've always. So I think did we talk about this last time? Like, what are your thoughts on like
Everything old is new again.
There it is. Okay, that's fair. All right, so we've got the top 10 storybook twists from and this is books, right? Not the TV series?
No, not
Books.
the TV series. This is 100% the books.
The books. Okay, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and kick things off then with number 10.
So number 10, this might surprise some people, but number 10, if you remember from the last episode, is The Haunted Mask.
Yep.
Which is one of my favorites, but twist isn't as good as some of the other ones here on the list. So quick recap of the story. You have an 11-year-old, Carly Beth. She's unhappy with her homemade duck costume that her mom makes. So she decides that she wants to be like a super scary creature because she's constantly getting picked on at school and she wants to scare her bullies. She finds a costume shop. It's owned by obviously that creepy person. She finds this creepy mask. She puts it on and then she can't take it off. And she slowly realizes that she's becoming the monster that the mask represents. And that's basically the plot. Now, the twist. Once she's able to actually get herself free of the mask, she finds out that her little brother, Noah, actually puts the mask on himself. And considering Carly Beth just went through absolute hell trying to get it off, she starts to panic, and guess what? That's the end of the book.
Fade to black. Oh, yeah.
It's like a Sopranos ending.
I was going to say Twilight Zone, but Sopranos is
like a Twilight Zone ending. But, I just thought it was crazy. Like, you go through all this turmoil, and Carly Beth finally gets this mask off, and you're like, oh, all right, it's over.
Yep.
And then she turns around, her brother's wearing the mask. Credits. You're like,
there
what?
it is. No, that's crazy.
But the end of the book.
What? And we've talked about this last time. This is one of my favorite books. I think it's one of yours too overall. I mean, it's a terrific story. I agree. I think the twist is not so much a twist as far more like a cliffhanger almost. You're like, oh no.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, excellent choice to make the top 10 list. So I like it. Very good. All right. Well, let's keep on going then. Let's see what you got for number 9.
So number 9 is Say Cheese and Die.
Excellent.
So if you remember this one, it's friends, Greg, Michelle, and Bird. They find a camera. And they start taking pictures around the neighborhood. However, the pictures turn out they're pictures of skeletons. And they show people in horrible futures of people, and then the photos end up becoming real. And they take they take a photo of somebody, and then all of a sudden that person ends up dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember this one as much, so this actually, I'm listening to this plot summary because I think all I remember about it, there was a camera and skeletons showed up. So is it literally like people are dying in this book?
So it's not only so when they discover the camera, it shows horrible future and events occurring to the subjects of the photos, but it seems to be responsible for the horrible events as well. So you take a picture with the camera, something horrible happens to the person that you took a picture of.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's one of those, it's kind of like almost like Final Destination, right? Where like, was that already going to happen, or did you make that happen with whatever choice you just made?
Right.
Okay. So what is the twist here then?
So the twist is these kids have this camera and they end up getting rid of it. They break the curse and they think it's over until neighborhood bullies again find the camera and end up taking pictures of themselves with it.
Fade to black.
Fade to black.
So there you go. So very similar to the Haunted Mask in terms of this terrible problem just became somebody else's problem after this initial main character went through hell.
Right.
Okay. All right. And this was this one came out around the same time as Haunted Mask, right? It was one of the earlier, books.
Yes, it was one of the, I think it was one of the original 12.
The original 12, yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to say he's already starting to double dip on the, on the creativity pool here, but
that's why these are a little.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I know. I listen, I appreciate that. The ones we're starting off with, they're good. They're not great. And you're saying that this list will progress into genuine creative twists.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Exactly.
All right, man. So Say, Cheese, and Die coming in at number 9. Let's go ahead and give a listen. What you got for number 8?
So number 8, Night of the Living Dummy. Another classic. Another
the original.
favorite. The original. Night of the Living Dummy.
All right.
So Lindy uncovers a ventriloquist dummy in the dumpster behind her house. She and her twin sister Chris are snooping around a construction site, and they name the dummy Slappy.
Okay.
Now,
first off, can I just say, who the hell is dumpster diving and then taking it home? Like, unless you're like, I'm sorry, but unless you're like homeless or crazy, why are you dumpster diving and then taking it home? I'm sure in the book they just say, oh, this looks cool, I'm going to take it home.
Yeah, it's two kids hanging out at a construction site. It's the 80s and 90s. Didn't we all do that?
No, maybe. And I'm thinking now, like, God, if my son ever went dumpster diving and brought home something, which I wouldn't put past him. He's only 7, so I'm not going to put it past him to do that at this point. But, oh, my God, like, I would be just, go wash your hands, go steam bath. I don't know, like, just sanitize yourself. This is disgusting. It's not coming in my house.
Yeah, no, it's gross. But they find it in a dumpster.
Okay.
So Lindy names the dummy Slappy. And eventually she gets offers for money to perform at birthday parties, where her twin sister Chris is forced to watch on in envy. So jealousy becomes.
So she's not allowed to use the dummy.
No, she's not allowed to use the dummy. She's only gets to watch.
Gotcha.
Eventually she gets her own. Chris gets her own. She names it Mr. Wood.
Okay.
Sybil rivalry begins to heat up. Mr. Wood proves in short order to be alive.
Interesting.
Taking part in such activities as strangling Slappy, claiming that the sisters are his slaves, and attempting to canine side of the family dog. I thought that was a fun word, canine side.
Canine side.
He tried to kill the dog. Mr. Wood eventually gets killed, or, smashed, when they throw him in front of a steamroller at the same construction site behind the house.
Yep.
Now, once that dummy is dealt with, and Mr. Wood is no more, things start to go back to normal. However, when the kids return home after defeating the villain, turns out Slappy is alive as well. And that's the twist.
So this whole time, was it Slappy? So they were both alive, but you only knew Mr. Wood was alive.
No, turns out it was Slappy the entire time. And Slappy starts spouting things again, making the sister their slaves, and bad things start to happen once more, and the book is over.
Boy. See that, and that almost reminds me of like Child's Play, right? Where you've got the doll that's like framing other people for what it does, and yeah, that one always creeped me out. I couldn't remember the exact plot. The cover itself was very scary. So, that's good. Okay, that's a good twist. I like that.
Yeah. It was, that one. I don't like dolls, especially like ventriloquists and like old vintage dolls. God,
you know who else doesn't and I don't know if he listens to the show, but I hope he does. My brother-in-law hates them. Like, that movie Annabelle that came out a few years ago.
Creepy
like he
movie.
won't watch it. Yeah, he won't watch it. It's too scary for him.
That's creepy.
So. Yeah. So, oh man. All right. Well, that's excellent. That's a fantastic number 8. So that brings us to number 7.
So number 7, Welcome to Camp Nightmare. Now, I think this is where twists really start to come in.
Okay.
Number 7. So a boy named Billy is sent off to Camp Night Moon as his parents. He's sent off to camp by his parents and meets various colorful characters along the way, including his fellow campers, Camp Night Moon leader Uncle Al, and a nasty set of snarling beasts that threaten his well-being. Unfortunately for Billy and company, this is only the beginning of the strangeness that Camp Nightwood has to offer. As things begin to go wrong at a disturbing pace, Uncle Al seems strangely apathetic about the whole situation.
Okay.
So, things are going horribly wrong in camp. The guy in charge is like, meh, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. Which, as a kid, by the way, you never want a grown-up to discount things that are going wrong, because it's that old, I feel like in the 90s they did this a lot, where like the kids were always the heroes and the adults were idiots. And this was kind of playing into that very perfectly as far as, what happened at the time, right? Where the kids are kind of like, wait, you're not understanding. People are getting hurt here. And the adults are like, nah, you're just being a kid. You don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Kids don't know what they're talking about. You're just crazy.
Yeah.
So the twist here is that the entire camp is a hoax.
It's a hoax. It's totally fake.
It's fake. Totally fake.
Okay.
Everybody's kind of an actor in it. And the whole thing was set up by Billy's parents to get him ready for a mission to a planet called Earth.
Oh!
Turns out they're all aliens.
Aliens. Oh boy. Okay. I do remember that, because actually it was one of my favorite. It was a 2-part episode.
Yes.
So
and in the show, it was a 2-part.
In the show, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the book was 1 book, but the show was a 2-parter because it was really good. That's right. They were aliens, and because I remember something about like it being fake, but I couldn't remember why. But it was because they were trying to get him ready to go to Earth.
Exactly.
What do you think they were going to do on Earth?
Hopefully, just research.
I guess that's the idea, right? Because his parents are scientists. I think, right?
His parents are scientists, and hopefully, it's just a routine expedition.
That's a Shyamalan twist right there.
Yeah, that's a Shyamalan twist right there.
I mean, that was good.
I thought that one was a pretty good one.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love it. All right, well, listen, we're slowly creeping up the list here. Let's go ahead and see what you got for number 6.
Calling All Creeps. Now, this one I didn't remember as much.
I don't remember this one at all.
I was doing some research and just kind of seeing like who thought what plot twists were good. And when I went back and read the plot synopsis and then what happens, I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. So in classic Goosebumps fashion, Ricky's getting bullied, but not only bullied by one kid, but a couple of kids. So what he does is he plots revenge, and he finds himself the focus of these reptilian creeps who masquerade during the day as classmates of Ricky. In their human form, they make the mistake of naming him their commander. And they want to implant everyone in the school with identity seeds, which will turn them basically into Ricky's slaves. Okay? They're trying to help him out. So they're on his side. What they want to do, he's in charge.
Okay.
They're going to put seeds in everybody's food, and then they'll become his slaves, and he'll never be bullied ever again.
Okay. So obviously Ricky's probably very enticed by this.
Right. But Ricky has a sense of right and wrong.
Okay.
So Ricky tries to warn the school. He tells them everybody about these reptilian creeps and their plan to enslave the school. And guess what happens?
I don't know.
They mock him.
Okay.
They make fun of him. They tell him he's a creep. They call him Stinky Ricky. And guess what Ricky does? He goes, okay. And he lets the creeps implant the school with the seeds, and they all become his slaves.
So he tried to warn him. He said, listen, these guys are nuts. They're creatures. And they said, take a hike, Ricky. And so he says, okay.
That's it.
All right.
And he makes the entire school and staff and everybody his slave.
So basically the twist here is that he goes from being somebody who is ethical and has morals, and then it's just, this is the last straw. They push him over the edge, and he says, fine, you win. And so basically he wins in the end, right?
He does. And, a lot of the times Goosebumps books end with the hero, prevailing.
Oh, yeah.
In, some sort of bright side future kind of thing.
Yeah, this is more of a dark victory.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? You're all my slaves now.
So he kind of became a bad guy at the end, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like a justified bad guy, right? Like, like a good villain origin story.
I mean, slavery is never cool, but
no,
it is
God, of
kind
course
of,
not.
it is kind of, he's kind of justified. It's like an anti-hero kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. That's a good way to put it. Is like an anti-hero. So, all right, man. Well, I'd never read that one. I don't even know if there was an episode on TV about it. Did you ever read that one as a kid?
I did read that one as a kid.
You did? Okay.
I thought that was cool.
While you were explaining the plot, I was looking at the book cover, and it sort of looks familiar. And lo and behold, actually, I just saw they did, in fact, have an episode about this, again, that I never watched. But I'm looking at the makeup job on these creeps, and it's pretty terrible. So, not surprising. But on the book cover, they're like these purple lizards. They almost look like, honestly, they remind me of like crocodiles and velociraptors.
Yeah, no, it's, they reminded me of, what were they, from Land of the Lost?
Oh, God, yeah. I haven't seen that in forever either.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of them, but oh well.
Sleestack? Sleestack.
The Slee Stacks?
Yeah.
There it is. Yep. Yeah. Okay. I do remember those. Oh, man. So that was number 6, right?
That was number 6.
That was number 6. So we are halfway through here with the next one. What you got for number 5?
A shocker on Shock Street.
Oh, yeah.
So, when friends Aaron and Marty go to an exclusive tour of a new theme park inspired by their favorite horror franchise, Shock Street, they couldn't be happier. Naturally, they soon realize that their exclusive trip to examine the park's offerings is anything but sweet ride as they encounter one bizarre obstacle after another from the Shock Street canon, ranging from being attacked by a praying mantis and werewolves to almost sinking to their doom in quicksand, which, as kids of the 90s, we should be far more afraid of quicksand and dynamite thanks to the Looney Tunes.
Oh, and hot lava too.
And hot lava, yeah.
Yeah.
So
wow.
It's almost like I feel like this one was almost breaking like the fourth wall.
Well, you know what it reminds me of, honestly, as you're explaining the plot is and I've never seen it, so you can give me a hard time if you want to, but Westworld.
Yeah, kind of.
Where you've got like a theme park. I know it's like this is more like movie stuff, but it's the whole idea of like these animatronics and like they're thrown into a world of like chaos based off of a popular franchise. So it's kind of meta almost.
Yeah, kind of. I was going to say it's more like it's almost like foreshadowing the Goosebumps movie.
Okay. Well, and that's fair. Yeah, because you mentioned that the plot of that was very kind of meta.
Yeah. Yep. So, it's almost like somebody read Goosebumps and built a theme park off of it, and then 2 kids went to go take a tour, and all the monsters came alive.
Yep.
So the twist here is that Aaron and Marty, they simply think that it's malfunctioning robots in need of a new chip being used to test out the new Shock Street theme park.
Yep.
And what they realize is that they're actually blood monsters. All the excitement, fear, angst, and heroism put on display by the kids you thought you got to know throughout the preceding 150 pages is one big lie, and actually just a propaganda, a pre-programmed function of a carefully engineered CPU. So the twist is that Aaron and Marty are the robots.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. So this whole time we're thinking they're kids, and boom. No, they are in on it. Sort of. They're part of the test, basically.
They're part of this new test that for the Shock Street theme park.
Interesting. So they basically just ran an entire simulation to see how it would happen in real life. Which, if you think about it, in reality, is actually not that scary at all, right? That's almost like it's very cool, but yeah, that's not scary. That's like the opposite of scary because it's not happening to real people at the end. So you're like, oh, wow, that's not so bad.
No, I mean, they're malfunctioning robots that just kind of,
yeah.
I like that. It was an interesting one.
I remember, so that was one where I was looking it up as you were talking about it, and the cover art took me back, but I remember the part about the theme park and like it was based off of this movie, but I forgot about the twist, so that was perfect. I like that one. All right, man. Well, that's a fantastic halfway point, and I gotta tell you, man, so far so good. I'm loving these twists. The first couple, like you said, were kind of like, okay. Starting to ramp up now. I'm seeing where you're going with this. I'm liking this. So we're in the top 5. We just had number 5. So let's go ahead and move on to number 4.
So number 4 is The Girl Who Cried Monster. Now this, if people of the fans of the show will remember, this was the very first episode that they released.
Yep.
So the plot is Lucy Dark, probably one of the cooler names in Goosebumps, catches her summer library reading program coordinator, Mr. Mortman, transforming into a monster. And she has to reveal the truth to whoever will listen. You know, her mom, her dad, her sister, stuff like that. And that's really it. But Lucy Dark tends to make stuff up, so no one's really believing her
naturally.
So after finally convincing her friends and her parents of the truth behind Mr. Mortman's strange behavior, Lucy's parents invite Mr. Mortman over to dinner, only to reveal that they too are monsters. Mr. Mortman soon finds himself to be the main course of dinner. Lucy's folks chow down on Mortman's meal, and Lucy is forced to reassess her definition of monsterdom.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's kind of messed up a little bit.
That's why
I like
this is
that.
down there on the list.
I think I may have read that one. I think I never saw the show though, so the episode. So that one I didn't remember, man. But oh my gosh, whew.
Yeah. So,
okay. I like.
Oh no,
I'm
he's
liking
a
that
monster. We're worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I like that. All right. That's excellent. All right. So The Girl Who Cried Monster coming in at number 4. All right. This is exciting. This is we're talking. This is the top 3. So let's just do it, man. All right. Number 3. What you got?
Let's Get Invisible. So I'm just gonna. This is kind of a long one, so we're just gonna read it. After his birthday party, Max and his remaining party guests, friends Aaron and April, and his little brother, Lefty, uncover a secret room in his attic with the help of Whitney, the family dog. It's always a dog to get you in trouble, right?
Sure.
The crew promptly discovers that the room houses a large old mirror that lets them become invisible by pulling the chain dangling from its light fixture. Soon after, Max and little brother Lefty start using their newfound ability to have who can stay visible the longest, which probably isn't a good idea. Context among other hijinks include scaring Max's best friend Zach, who is, retrospect, probably needs to find himself better friends. Ultimately, Max discovers that the mirror has been trapping his friends on one by one and replacing them with their mirror reflection alter egos in the real world. So, go to Star Trek and Mirror Universe. You pull the chain and
that's right.
Comes evil you with a goatee, right? I guess for us, clean shaven.
Well, sure. Yeah, we're both bearded, so that makes sense. You know what it is? We're not just clean shaven, we're wearing soul patches.
There you go. We're wearing soul
patches. That is the evilest facial hair.
That is the most evil of all facial hair, yes.
Soul patch.
With the heavy stuff going down, Lefty comes through at the last minute and saves the day, shattering the mirror by tossing Invisible Max's reflection a baseball and seeming, returning everybody back to correct respective worlds. So Invisible Max throws the baseball, shatters the mirror, and returns everybody back to normal.
Okay, so the mirror was the issue. You break the mirror, everything goes better. Seemingly. So here's the twist.
Here's the twist.
Okay.
With the mirror broken and the evil mirror people seemingly confined forever to their evil mirror world, Max and Lefty decide to chill out by taking part in a nice game of catch. It's only then that Max realizes that Lefty is suddenly throwing with his right hand.
So Lefty is mirror Lefty.
Correct.
In reality, he is now righty.
Correct.
Is what we should be calling him. He's righty.
We should be calling him righty.
So does that mean that there are potentially other alternate universe mirror folk in this world?
Correct.
And now they can't get back. Now they're stuck there because he's destroyed the mirror.
What I think happened is that once he broke the mirror people realized that they were free. and decided that they could go, and they kind of like toned it down. So he thought everything was back to normal. But what he really did was trapped all of his friends in the mirror universe and kept all the mirror reflections outside.
The soul patches will reign supreme. Oh, that's a good one. I like that one, man.
Yeah.
All right. So that was one of the early ones. I think I was just looking it up. That was number 6 in the series.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a pretty early twist. So
most of these twists are going to be the original books.
Yeah, man. Well, I think Calling All Creeps was a later one. That's why I didn't ring a bell at first until I had to look it up here. But this one I remember. I remember reading this one, and I remember them looking at a mirror and getting invisible. But that's all I could remember. So once again, you have with the twist here, it was fresh to me. So that's awesome. Oh man. All right, this is getting good here. So we've got that was number 3. Let's go ahead and look at number 2.
The Ghost Next Door.
Oh, that's a good one too. I remember this one.
This is a good one. Very short plot here. Hannah Fairchild's summer is turning out to be pretty bleak until her new neighbor Danny appears in her life, and she becomes increasingly convinced that he is indeed a ghost. Very, very simple plot.
Yep.
Now, the twist here is the Ghost Next Door doesn't take place at the very end of the story. The twist doesn't take place at the very end of the story.
Okay.
But that doesn't make it any less epic. As events unfold, it is revealed that Hannah, not Danny, was the ghost the whole time. Turns out that she and her whole family died horribly in a fire 5 years ago, and Hannah was essentially directly responsible because she didn't extinguish her backyard campfire.
That's dark. Wow. Oh my gosh. That almost, that's like a Sixth Sense kind of twist there.
A little bit. A little bit.
Ooh, that's creepy. I like that one.
And
there's another one. It was an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode where it's like the main character thought he was seeing ghosts, and it turns out that, yes, she was a ghost, but he was also a ghost, and she was calling to him. And so that's why, and that was actually the inspiration for the Sixth Sense, I found out.
Was it really?
That one episode. It was, yeah. Wow. So I'm almost wondering if that episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark was inspired by this book by R.L. Stine now.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah. Although maybe this is a classic trope. I don't know. Are there other ghost stories out there where the main character turns out to be a ghost?
I'm sure.
Maybe.
Casper.
I don't know. Anyway, right? Yeah, well, he knows he's a ghost. That's different. Oh man, that's fantastic. That's really good. Yeah,
that one messed me up though when I read it when I was a kid. I was like,
yeah.
Wait.
Well, because you want to like go back and reread it again, saying, okay, was there like could I have caught this earlier? Or
and you can't.
No, you can't. That's the thing. It's very well written. So as an excellent choice. And again, that's one I remember from my childhood as well. So very good. No, that's let's see. That was I'm looking this up. That was number 10 in the series. So again, one of the original 20 OG Goosebumps books.
Exactly.
So, excellent choice. All right, man. Listen, I am seething with anticipation. Let me ask you, we didn't plan this, so if not, it's totally no big deal. But before we get to number 1, do you have any kind of honorable mentions or other ones that you feel are worth at least just giving a quick high five to? And again, it's totally fine if you don't. No big deal. I just was curious.
Not really. Because most of the other ones are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if they have a twist, it's not major or like, oh my God, that's huge. You're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
These 10 books are where the twists
next
really,
level twists
really happen. And
yep.
I don't think so. I don't think there's anything else.
Okay. All right.
No, I don't think there's anything else that would really. Although, no, hang on. God, I can't. Now I'm not going to remember the name of the book, but it's the one, the Tower of
the Night in Terror Tower.
The Night in Terror Tower.
Yep,
that one.
Okay,
that one.
All
that
right.
was the only other one that had a twist, but I don't think it was good as the twists on this list. But yeah, it was still a good twist. What
was the twist where they were not time travelers?
Yes,
or something.
They were time travelers.
They were time travelers.
The kids were actually a prince and princess trapped forward in time
in the future.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, not a bad twist, but I agree. I can't see that making the top 10 here.
No, but it was good.
All right,
it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well here we go. Then let's go ahead and Oh, I'm excited. Okay, let's see what you got. We got number 1.
Be careful what you wish for.
I remember the cover of this one because I had a really hot girl in like a pink background or something.
Yeah. It was the only one that was kind of like almost an innocent cover.
Yeah.
So here's the plot.
Okay.
Unfortunately named Samantha Bird, a loner who is constantly harassed by her classmates. It's a classic thing. Apparently, maybe R.L. Stine was picked on as a kid, but everybody in the protagonists in these books are often bullied.
Yeah.
One night after baseball practice, she helps an old woman, Clarissa, home and is offered 3 wishes in return for her kindness. Apparently, not familiar with the concept of wishing or for more wishes, eternal life, infinite money, Samantha begins to wish for comparably lame and trivial things, like being the strongest player on the basketball team. And for her mean girl classmate Judith to disappear. Now, as we all know from probably reading many things about wishes, you got to be careful. They could be like Aladdin wishes, where what you say you get, and the genie's kind of like, you want to modify that a little bit so it doesn't go horribly wrong. Or there's the ones that are like monkey paws, where you got to be careful with the hubris in your wish.
So this is more of a monkey's paw one, you would say.
This is probably going to be more like a monkey paws one. It's, because it's a Goosebumps book, so they usually are.
Yeah.
So, predictably, making such narrow-minded wishes causes Samantha's quality of life to diminish further. And she ultimately uses her last wish to create a scenario where Judith meets Clarissa instead of herself, which turns out to be the worst idea Samantha has ever had. So Samantha finds herself to have changed into a black crow in both the least fair, most unexpected, and horrifying Goosebumps ending.
So she turns into a bird.
Right. So she wishes that she had never met Clarissa and that Judith met Clarissa instead, which is fine. What's the best way to make sure Samantha never meets Clarissa? Turn her into a crow.
And there it is. Classic monkey paw moment there. I like that one.
I think it's weird. It's weird. Like, why turn her into a crow?
Well, I mean, she got that last name, Bird, and so a crow, of course, and that's just a creepy bird. So that, makes sense from a
Goosebumps
standpoint. From an ambiance standpoint. So, all right, man. And so that's one I read. I think I actually might have remembered that twist because it was a classic, like the title says, be careful what you wish for. There's been so many, books and movies and TV shows about this type of thing where like you wish for something and it basically totally backfires in your face. Right. Did you ever see that movie from like 2000 called Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley?
Yes.
That's a fantastic movie. So it was a comedy, but the idea is that he meets the devil, right? He meets the devil, and she gives him 7 wishes, and as long as he gives her his soul at the end. That was a surprisingly good movie. That's a great movie. Like, oh my god, it's one of those where I don't think it ever I think it performed well at the box office and all that stuff. So I don't know if you could call it like a cult classic, but to me, if you've watched it, it holds up. Like I recommend going and watching it now because it's still genuinely hilarious. Remember he wishes that he would. There was this one girl, her name is Allison, and he wishes that he was rich so that she would and that she would love him or no, he wishes that he was rich and that she was married to him, right? And that's all he said.
And he becomes a drug lord, a Colombian drug lord.
They turn him into a Colombian drug lord, and she's having an affair with her language arts teacher.
That was great
because she's married to him, but she doesn't love him.
Prime days of Brendan Fraser movies.
Oh my god! Well, and hopefully he's having a little bit of a resurgence here. You'll notice. You'll see on Facebook, everyone's like, we got to protect Brendan Fraser at all costs. He's our hero. And so I'm so glad to see that he is kind of having this comeback. Because honestly, I know he had health problems and a lot of issues in his personal life that, from what I can tell, and again, I'm not, I'm seeing this just as a fan and as a spectator, didn't seem like he did anything wrong, outright.
No,
you know what I mean? You've seen people mess up where he
didn't do anything wrong.
Maybe he's not that I could tell. Maybe he had issues in his divorce with his wife or whatever, and that's but honestly, that's
Right.
between them, right? He has not done anything that you're like that is morally and objectively wrong.
No.
But he just kind of fell out, and honestly, from what I heard, it was maybe there was like even like a Me Too situation with him where he was the victim, not like he was the perpetrator, but he was a victim of sexual harassment or whatever.
He was, yeah.
And
I've read a little bit about it, and it's a pretty sad story. Actually,
yeah.
And
but he's coming back, man, and I think that's what's exciting is that we're finally see him come back around, and he's getting his second chance here in the spotlight, and he is one of the most deserving actors.
Oh, definitely.
I don't want to like worship celebrities. I think that's kind of silly, but for what he does as far as his craft, he is one of the better ones, and so I'm so glad to see that he's getting a chance to do it again. So
definitely.
Oh man. Excellent. Well, listen, dude, this was a fantastic list, and it was a lot of fun. So I don't know if we'll do a specific Goosebumps episode again, but obviously if we do, I will bring you on as our current Goosebumps subject matter expert. Obviously, So who knows? Maybe we'll do a deep dive on some of the specific books, or we'll even do like TV episode reviews in the future. Either on the main podcast here that you're finding in iTunes or Spotify or wherever it is you're listening to your podcast, or, and this is a perfect organic segue, you'll see what I did here, you can head over to our YouTube channel. Just type in Generation S. It's got the same logo as the show, and we will be posting exclusive podcasts to the YouTube channel. Really what it boils down to is two things. One, I can only afford a certain amount of bandwidth on the podcast directories every month. I pay by the hour, so keep that in mind. But also, I don't necessarily think this is the best platform to always do deep dives on particular subject matter. So the YouTube channel is going to be a fantastic way for listeners to get out there and check out some things that are a bit more specific on topics that we've covered in the past. So for example, we just put one up, myself and Lou, put one up on a video game review for an old Nintendo 64 game, WCW NWO Revenge. Fantastic wrestling game, but I didn't think listeners would get too excited about that as a main episode. Some people might, but that's what the YouTube channel is for. Go there and see us do deeper dives on specific topics from the 90s and early 2000s. So I'm thinking that we'll probably come back and do some more Goosebumps stuff on the YouTube channel. But I do want to say I'm very excited because our plan here in the month of October is to bring you back for our next episode, or one of our next episodes. I need to think of what's coming up next in the rotation, but we're having a very special Halloween edition of the Generation S podcast. It's going to be me, you, and our good buddy Lou. So he's coming back for that. And so excited because the three of us are going to talk all about Halloween, our traditions growing up, some of maybe our costumes we wore to school and to trick-or-treating.
Just saying right now, I had some pretty good costumes.
I am excited. We're going to talk maybe about scary movies we would watch that time of year, that type of stuff. And we're going to also have on the episode itself our guest list. And it's going to be, I haven't told you this yet, so this is going to be a genuine reaction I'm getting from you. So going to have the top 10 tricks and the top 10 treats. And so you and Lou are going to have to decide which one you want to do. So the top 10 treats obviously are going to be like maybe the best candy that you got, like the best Halloween candy of all time. Top 10, right? Okay. The top 10 tricks, I don't know what we can do for top 10 tricks, but you know what? That's not my job to decide that. It's whoever's going to put that list together. So if that's you, then good luck to you, obviously. Awesome, man. Well, listen, Dan, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. And again, guys, this has been so fun to do. We're getting fantastic feedback on the show as a whole. So make sure if you haven't already, you head over there to iTunes or Spotify. Make sure you've subscribed because you'll get notified when new episodes drop. And it should be dropping every Wednesday at midnight unless something has happened to me. The plan is for it to come out every single Wednesday. So you hit that subscribe button. You'll get notified. If you have a chance, leave a review. That really helps our listing as well. So if you're giving us a good review, and it doesn't have to be 5 stars. If you think I'm only worth 3 or 4 stars, that's totally cool, man. But give me a review. That'll get me up on the list so that other people can just log into iTunes or Spotify or wherever and see the podcast and say, hey, I want to give that a try. I grew up in the 90s. This looks like it could be fun. And that's what this is all about, is having fun and just reminiscing about simpler times for us, the generation after Generation Y, but before Generation Z, calling it Generation S, right? So, Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's always a good time.
Yeah, and we'll be talking soon for the Halloween episode, so stay tuned, guys. That's coming out here in just a couple of weeks. So take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye.